Hello, welcome to Mowgli TV. Today we're going to talk about the most maligned effect of them all, the dreaded kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is probably the Comic Sans of video effects. You might not know that kaleidoscope is actually, in its origin, not a video effect at all. A kaleidoscope is something that you can make yourself using 3 mirrors arranged in a triangular shape. You can read all about it on the Wikipedia page, which actually says that the kaleidoscope was invented in 1817. But I don't believe that is actually true. I'm pretty sure it would have been invented way before that. If you scroll down, there's other mentions of it using only 2 mirrors rather than 3 from 1558. So, as you can see, it's probably the oldest source of trippy visuals that you can have without taking drugs. There is even a Kaleidoscope Society, believe it or not, the Brewster Kaleidoscope Society. They promote all sorts of artworks involving real-life kaleidoscopes. So why is it such a hated effect? If you go through the web and look at VJ-related forums, Facebook groups and such, you will find no end of people just hating it, really, and saying that anyone who uses it shouldn't be calling themselves a VJ and all kinds of stuff. While it's true that kaleidoscope is something that can just be plonked on top of any content and make it look trippy, and this is the reason for much of the hate, I still believe that kaleidoscope has a place in VJ world. As a matter of fact, you can see kaleidoscope effect used throughout many advertising campaigns over the last few decades. So while for a video professional, the kaleidoscope might just be like a quick and easy cheesy effect, for the average punter it's actually something attractive and interesting, which is something to bear in mind. At the end of the day, kaleidoscope is just a tool, and it shouldn't be defining whether something is good or bad. It's what you actually do with it and how you implement it that will make the outcome good or bad. There's plenty of bad ways and good ways of using kaleidoscope. It's got to be said, it's all a matter of opinion at the end of the day. But it's widely accepted within professional circles that doing something that is cheesy and too easy to do is not a good thing because anyone can do it and there's no merit in it. Personally, I subscribe to an idea that is very common in audio circles, which is shit in, shit out. So it's all down to what you're actually putting through the kaleidoscope. Let's jump into RESOLUME and look at the kaleidoscope and its settings. So here we are, I've got this video of myself talking and I'm just going to drag kaleidoscope over it, and instantly what we get is that. So we go from this very mundane video to something a bit more psychedelic with very little effort, which is one of the reasons why people don't like it, because it doesn't take much to turn anything into something a bit more interesting, which is not necessarily a bad thing, although there is very little merit in it. Let's go through the settings. First, you've got your usual blend mode and opacity, and then you've got angles. Angles refers to how many mirrors, if you will. If we increase that, you'll see that it basically increases the number of mirrors involved. So let's go down to the classic 3. And then you've got the rotation, which refers to the final output rotation. So you can change the way your video is angled. Then you've got the zoom, which again refers to the final process image. So you can go in and out there. Then the input rotation, which refers to the actual video that you're putting through the kaleidoscope and how that is being rotated before the kaleidoscope is applied. So if we move that around, you see that we see different areas of our video being reflected, creating all these different patterns. So the most classic use of the kaleidoscope will be this with the input rotation animated. So let's just animate that, slow it down a bit, and there you go. You've got a very easy trippy thing happening. So let's try a different kind of content. Here I've got this, which is BPM audio shapes, which is available on Gumroad, link in the description. And basically I've got some hearts, as you can see, with some metallic and lighting effect on it. So it's a lot more minimal than what we had before. We then apply our kaleidoscope to it, which I've already applied some settings to. We can distort this heart to something completely different. As you can see, it's very different to what we had before. It's not so easily recognizable as a kaleidoscope, although it's still got that symmetry on it, but it's more like a geometric effect, which is very handy to use with minimal content. So if you're animating lines, shapes, things like that, the kaleidoscope can be a very useful tool to enhance these things and make complexity out of simplicity. Let's have a look at something else. We've got this line source, which is one of the defaults that comes with RESOLUME, which is the 45-degree animated lines. So that's just that, some lines. So I've got my kaleidoscope here, which I'm just going to switch on, and we can turn these just diagonal lines into a hexagonal tunnel. So as you can see, in this case, it's not so much about, oh, let's make some trippy visuals out of anything that I put on there, but it's more like a building block to create geometric and generative animations. You can think of the kaleidoscope as a geometric tool that you can use on minimal content to achieve shapes and animations. So let's have a little play with this. So if we adjust the zoom, for example, so we've got more of a tunnel effect, and then we apply some more effects to this. We get this kind of infinite tunnel effect, which is very usable and doesn't have any of the connotations associated with kaleidoscope. So let's look at this other example. I've got this clip here, which is from my VJ Pack Beta Gun, which again is quite a geometric and minimal clip. And I've got the kaleidoscope here, which is currently switched off. It's got a digital envelope on, so it's switching the effect on and off. So we go from having the straightforward clip, and if we turn on the kaleidoscope, we've just created an intermediate composition within the same clip. So it's like having a different clip within the clip itself, which is a very handy tool. So that's it. I guess the moral of the story here is to try to not use effects as content. Be creative when using and applying effects, and don't be put off by people's comments about what you should or shouldn't be using. It's up to you, and a bit of exploration and experimentation may open a lot of doors that were not immediately obvious when you first start using an effect. As always, please like and subscribe, as it really does help my channel. And if you find my videos useful, you can always use the thanks functionality on YouTube and donate some money to this enterprise. Hopefully, I'll see you next time.